identify.
My name is Richie Wheeler. I'm a writer. I like crocheting, kittens. Silent films about trees.
Made us a mixtape.
Awesome.
I know you like this place, but you ain't gonna be sticking around here much longer.
Skateland closing is one of the best things that's ever happened to you.
That's just sad.
Maybe it's time for a change.
Yeah.
Rockscape.
You know that? Yeah.
Roll
Well,
bounce.
they already made that movie with a black cast.
That's right. Yeah, this is white.
This is the white version of Roll Bounce.
This one's more like freak out. Whatever that song is.
You know what? It's funny. Watch this movie. I was like, you know what? This could be a quick review because I was like, okay, Spilios, what you do is imagine an alternate dimension. Here's a dimension where John Hughes, not only did he not die, but he made Dazed and Confused and cast a young Joaquin Phoenix in the title role.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes,
That's this movie.
If only that was true, though. If only that was true.
Oh,
This is the movie that Skateland thinks it is.
well,
Wants to be.
okay, you're right.
But then
that was a formula.
Got to be fun. You know, because, all right, like as far as that whole movies that present like an era, the spirit of an era, by just watching the kids have fun, there are only 3 examples I can even think of where it really worked, where it captured that. American Graffiti, which started it off, which totally, the early 60s, you watch that, you're like, damn, this must have been what it was like to be like just coming out of high school, becoming
Yeah.
a man. Dazed and Confused, same
Okay.
thing for like, what was that, 76, I think, 77,
Early
something like
70s,
that?
yeah.
And then Roll Bounce, actually, which I thought totally nailed it. You know, I'm not even black, but I'm like, that was totally what that was like for me.
Nah,
And
it
then
was
Sky
like-
High, you know.
yeah, Sky High.
But this
Yeah,
is just like,
that's how I
it
grew up.
starts that way. It starts off going wearing on its sleeve. Skateland. Remember the time? Mid 1985, I think is when it says it is. It's like,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I remember that time. Yeah, I was skating then. Roller skating, mind you.
Yeah, because if you said what that inline skating,
Yeah, no, there was no inline
That meant you were gay.
But then it just kind of meanders off into its own navel gazing.
Well, you know why? Because it's funny how we all are talking about different coming of age movies. Because to me, this movie is like if Dazed and Confused got fucked by the Last Picture Show and the baby came out with some roller skates. Well, think about it. It deals with people who do not want to. They don't want to progress. They don't want to leave that last stage of high school because that's where they think that their fondest memories are going to be. And it all centers around one place, one arena, one set piece, one building, which is Skateland.
Well, sort of it does, though.
It just reminded me of the movie house in the Last Picture Show.
No, I know what you mean.
You know what? If I may anticipate what you're about to say, Cyrus, is that's its premise and it's all about Skateland. But then they leave Skateland pretty early and don't really come back until
very
almost
end.
the end of the film. Like they went like, well, what's the title of this film? Oh shit, we got to put the skating rink back in here somehow.
Ultimately, it's the film ends up being about the who gives a shit problems of like Captain Sneers a lot.
You know what? This is because we're old. If we were young, we'd be all about like, yeah, man, this movie's telling the truth.
Maybe,
now,
but
now that we're old, we look back at kids like that, like you little shit, get your act
When
together.
you watch like Dazed
Get a job. Yeah.
When you watch like Dazed and Confused and it intercuts like kids having problems and talking about, God, I don't know what I'm going to do next, with them partying and having fun all the way through. And this just goes off into a corner and sulks for 40 minutes.
I suppose. I mean, I think I had a more positive view of the film than you did because being that 1985, getting in high school, I was like, okay, that's about where I was at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was out, but it was real close. So I kind of identified with it more. And then I didn't catch it was Texas at first.
Yeah,
I was just
no,
like,
me either.
it just seemed like a Midwestern town. It wasn't until like the longer it went on, the more I was like, this is starting to feel like Texas.
Yeah,
to me.
I think it's an unnamed East Texas town in the movie.
So maybe it is the Last Picture Show.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's why it reminded me so much of the Last Picture Show and Dazed and Confused. All of those are centered around Texas. All of those are centered around young people who, like this, for a lot of them, this will be the best moment of their life. A lot of them are hanging on because they think this will be the best moment of their life. A lot of them you look at it and like, look, this is shitty. What I'm looking at right here, this is not the best moment. Even for what you think is the best moment, you're going to look back at this and be like, man, what was I thinking?
Yeah, exactly.
That was a really crappy time of my life. And that's what it's about. Like, who are the characters that are going to be smart enough? Who needs that extra nudge to just move on. And I see Skateland as a metaphor for that. You know, it's a place where everybody it's the center of town for these people. And not only it's the center of town, it's the center of an ideal of their youth. And I appreciate that. And we've even seen some of these actors, because you're right. This is a movie full of actors. These are people, like, you got this, the actors in this movie. They're not really big names. The way you would know them is like, oh, it's that actor that looks like Joaquin Phoenix. Oh, that's that actor that looks like Leonardo DiCaprio. It's that actor that looks like Megan Fox. Oh, it's that actor that looks like Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and Confused.
Exactly. Yeah, you have a character who it really is Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and Confused.
And they're not even trying to hide.
I know, that's the thing. I mean, like, the things that I took negative from it is like, wow, you guys are really going to be that blatant about it and not change him up at all.
Yeah. Well, and actually, I called the main character Captain Sneers a lot at one point. So he played a bad guy in something at some point.
Was it Let the Right One In? No, it wasn't.
I think what you're thinking of is okay, so the movie centers around a group of friends. Mainly the main character in this is played by Shiloh Fernandez.
That's
I think
the one.
His character is
That's him. Niagara Falls.
Yeah, his name is Richie, and Richie is the guy that looks like Joaquin Phoenix.
Kind of.
Like a young Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, he looks like a young Joaquin Phoenix without a hair lip.
Yeah.
And you know, Richie is he's getting bugged by his little sister, like, hey, when you gonna sign up for college? His family is, and the dad looks like Chris Cooper.
Exactly, he does. He's Chris Cooper from American Beauty, almost.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, this is where I can call him Captain Sneers a lot, because he's got this little sister that he said, is bugging him, but she is the greatest little sister you could have. Who really looks out for you. She's super smart and is trying to help you get into college.
Sister Mary, played by an actress. She does it very well. I guess she's 14, 15, Haley Ram. The actors in this are really, I think, are good for what
I thought so too.
Yeah, no problem with the performances per se.
Yeah, and so Richie's family's in turmoil. His parents might be getting a divorce. Mom is out hoeing. Dad's kind of a wimp.
Let's stop for a second. His mom is a hoe. I don't like to throw that word around, because I'm like, hey man, be free with your sexuality, whatever. But goddamn,
damn, especially when it's like she just puts it out to him at one point and goes, "Look, this is what I've been doing, and not just now, but like for a while."
Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, your dad's a good guy, but mama's got to get some.
Look, your mom is leaving because I need to find myself. And I need to find myself on my coworker's dick.
Yeah. I just discovered coke, and wow, did I just discover it.
Yeah, Melinda McGraw is the actress who plays the mom, and she she tries to come in and be like, hey, honey, have y'all had dinner? Oh, sweetie, look at your hair. Oh, I love you. Now I got to go get some dick.
The movie doesn't even want you to hate her. And then you're like, how can I not hate her?
Exactly.
It really is hard too, man. I mean, for me, it was because they even want to love their mom. She's trying to do the best that she can. She's just horny, And dad's dick is probably small. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with them, but I just know that she's trying her best to kind of keep a relationship.
But you also get the impression like, okay, the dad is not dumb. He knows she's fucking around, but he doesn't want her to leave.
Yeah.
He's not dumb, and he doesn't really, he's not like a dick or abusive or anything like that, or even a loser. He's just taking it, though.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, what the fuck, man?
Well, he's trying to keep his family together.
Yeah. Brent Cullen is the guy that looks like
Chris Cooper.
Chris Cooper. Yeah. I'm just like, man, you ain't got to get Ike Turner on this bitch, but come on, man, get up and say something.
Stand up for yourself.
Oh, your mom's going out again.
I don't want the kids to be miserable or anything, but I'm not gonna. You can't stay in this house while you're out getting dick. It's just that simple. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't mean to be an asshole about it, but you can't fuck other guys and live with me.
Yeah,
it's pretty straightforward.
One or the other.
Hey,
well, guess what?
Right.
I'm gone.
That whole, you want to hurt the kids and tell them? It's like, I don't think this falls on me.
Right. He just comes in to tell the kids. It's just kind of like, I wish one of the kids just would have got him and slapped the shit out of him, because like, your mom's good, she's leaving, making a divorce. It's like, damn, man, you ain't got no kind of spine,
I know.
do you?
Well, he's destroyed.
Yeah, I know. I felt bad for him. I really did.
I did too.
But Richie, to get away from the turmoil in the family, this small town that's kind of smothering everybody, he has a managing job at Skateland. And that's where his real escape is now. He's not going there dressed up in hot pants and sequins and shit. He's a cool guy. He looks, back then people would have compared him to a young John Travolta.
Maybe, okay.
Well, they didn't know Joaquin Phoenix at the time. That's why I say that.
Like I said, this is like 85, right? So this is a little past.
Yeah, it's 10 years past John Travolta.
This is past disco even.
Whoever was hot at the time, So he's hanging out with one of the hottest girls in town, Michelle, played by the Megan Fox actress Ashley Greene.
Nice suit.
Yeah, I feel ridiculous. Can you imagine me wearing this thing every day?
No, I think it's really you.
Oh, really? I don't know what I'm doing. Everything's changed. Ever since I woke up this morning, I've been walking around feeling like I'm somebody else. This isn't my life.
Everything hasn't changed. You brought me an icy on my break.
That doesn't count.
You still have highly questionable taste in music.
He's hanging out with his Leonardo DiCaprio looking friend, played by Taylor Henley, and they're cool. You know, they just go out and have beers, have house parties, and then Brent comes into town. And Brent was he was a racer, right? Like a motocross racer?
Yeah, motocross racer.
Yeah, and
he's back because it's off season. He had a little spill, but he's back for a while.
Yeah, and he's been gone. He's been out of high school for a good 5 years. Actor's Heath Freeman. He's been out of school for a while, and he's that guy who can't let it go. You know,
Yeah, he's been out of high school ever since Dazed and Confused.
Every single one of these movies has that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, American Graffiti, I just rewatched, and it's got that character.
Does it really?
One of the main characters in it is the guy who's like coming back to town who's a racer.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, man, I just want to keep hanging out in my hometown and fucking the young girl.
Oh, fuck the young girl. And I can lie to these people and tell them how cool I am. That's too stupid to know any difference. So,
but Brent is it's Richie's hero.
Yeah,
I mean, it's that older guy you hang out with who's so cool, and you just want to. Every time you with him, he has all the best stories. He tells you about life ahead.
But it's funny because Richie's the one protecting him.
Yes.
Because meanwhile, there's this team of bullies in town.
Yeah,
they're just looking everywhere for this guy.
There's a team of alcoholic, retarded bullies.
Yeah.
that are pushing everybody around.
Every team, small town like that, had that group of rednecks that just would show up and ruin a fucking party every once in a while, and no one would stand up to them because there'd be like 5 of them, and they were scary.
They were in there. They always travel in a group. Here's only 3, and they even say in the movie, oh, it's those guys who just drive around looking for fights.
Right. You got to deal with
that's right. It was 3 because it was the 4 horsemen, and one of them got arrested.
Yeah.
You got to deal with those people in every town because until they're old enough to go to jail,
Right.
they're going to continue to harass people.
Yeah, it's either I got to kill them or ride this out till they go to jail. And I guess that's one of the main arcs in the story of this movie is that Brent has come to town. He's Richie's hero. Now, with Brent not only has trouble following him where he's going, but Brent could possibly be a bad influence on Richie. And, Ashley's even saying, listen, Michelle's even saying, listen, you got to get out of this town.
Yeah.
You got to go. But he's hanging around having a good time with his friends. He just doesn't know what to do. Now, stories come and go when nobody's telling anything new anymore, and that's fine. But this really does feel not influenced by those movies that are coming of age stories, but just it feels like it's what's the word I'm looking for? Contrived.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you're looking for the word forced, but the movie is a love letter to these movies to the point that the very end. There is a love letter written to John Hughes at the end of the credits.
Very literally.
Yeah.
It's funny. You're right. It's because the problem is it's a love letter to these movies and it like misses the point that those movies were love letters to the times they were set in.
Right.
And this film just forgets to do that. It like has the trappings of that, but it's clearly not really in love with that period of time. It doesn't really want to put you smack dab in it because you take away some of the posters on the walls and it could be like anytime,
any
really,
place.
Yeah.
It's what. It's something that bothers me about too much of what's going on with pop culture, where it is so much referencing things that happened before. And, it's an homage to these great movies, and you go like, that's nice, asshole, but I have Netflix, so I can watch those actual movies. I don't need you to remind me of them. I just watched them last week.
Yeah, you see that. I guess contrived. I was trying to be nice. I guess contrived is the word I'm looking for because I know that the director here. Let me see who the director is here. Because this movie it was in competition at Sundance. I remember being there, and I was thinking about going to see it. And
it feels like somebody's first or second film.
And when I look at this, I'm like, when I finally saw it, I said, why? I could see this being at Sundance. Because as far as the indie movie goes, it does a great job at capturing that period of the 80s that it's in. But outside of anything else, it just doesn't feel that original. This Anthony Burns is the director here.
Yeah.
And you're right. It does feel like his, I would say like a second film because he has production values down. But this is a person that is so influenced by these coming of age stories that he doesn't know what to do originally on his own. What's his story? I mean, I'm sure that this is his story, but it's nothing there that makes it seem like any different from any of those other stories I've
Every
seen.
single tale of each group of person in there is just a flashback to scene that we've already seen in another one of these films. And like I said, once again, I disagree with you though about that it was a great representation of this time. It wasn't. I remember that time better than any time in my life, and it wasn't a lot like they show it here, and neither does it like really fall in love with it. Neither is it like, wow, remember when?
Now, see, but
I've seen commercials for K-Tel record collections that more accurately represent 1985 than
let me
this.
defend myself real quick, because see, my man don't know where I'm coming from here. Seriously, I know what you're saying, but I was talking about more, again, production than I am talking about the actual story or reminiscing, going back to that period, because one of the things I loved about this movie is that I felt like I was looking at a movie from that period. I mean, they got all the iconography right. I felt like the characters had everything right down to the hairstyle right. I mean, there was a lot there that I had to give it to this movie for being in the film. I'm like, man, you captured that period very well. It's the substance behind it that I'm with you on.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I thought it captured it in as well as I can understand. Like, I have the same disconnect with this as I do at Dazed and Confused, and just that, like, you know what, this is from a part of town that I didn't grow up in, and none of those things really happened to me. However, that whole skating rink, though, like the way they captured that, I see that. As far as just being his story, I was like, well, maybe it's his story, but I get the impression his story was sitting around watching a lot of John Hughes movies and not actually doing these things.
Even more bothersome to me was that, all right, so the main character is a writer, right? That's the big thing. Oh, he's a writer. He's always working on his Commodore 64. And his sister,
probably
you
playing
got the
Zork.
skill to do it. You can go on and be like a great writer. And that's, once again, that's American Graffiti. That's the American Graffiti story.
True.
The main guy, one of the main guys from there was a writer and was a analog for the creator of the film.
And I believe it was Thomas Wolfe who did a lot of stories like that about the writer character who was about him.
Right. Yeah, I see. In some of the characters I like. Y'all probably don't know the actor here, the main actor, Shiloh Fernandez.
Well, I know him from something where he played a bad guy, and I'm blanking on
Red Riding Hood.
Was it Red Riding Hood?
I think he was. I don't know if he was a bad guy. I think
Was he the love interest in Red Riding
He was
Hood?
the love interest for Amanda Seyfried.
There's something else I'm thinking of where he was like, maybe it was even a TV show, but I just can't get that out of my head.
A lot
he
of these
looks like a bad guy.
Well, a lot of these
But didn't you
actors
just watch Gladiator recently? Maybe it was Joaquin Phoenix. You were thinking about it.
You thinking about him?
I am definitely not going to watch Gladiator anytime soon.
Sure. You didn't fall asleep on the couch and it was on and you dozed back off. Fuck you, Joaquin.
Harry McSnareface. What is that? Oh, God
But
damn it.
yeah, I don't know.
Wrong
Man.
brother died.
No, man, I really don't want to criticize the movie too much because I think the actors here, a lot of them are actors that you've seen in several TV shows, or they've been like, are they just starting to come up, or they've been second tier characters in a movie, or supporting characters.
Yeah, the cast is entirely that guy and that girl.
That guy, and that woman, that girl, that guy that looks like that guy. Yeah, I think they all did a good job, except for maybe the bullies. I mean,
The bullies were horrible.
They were terrible. I mean, they the kind that they just played it too thick. They came in and just the first person they picked on who they even know, like some kids. They just took a beer.
Yeah.
This faggot. Come on, man.
That's what bullies were like where I was growing up. They would walk into a party just like that and just start beating somebody's ass and no one would do shit. You're like, God damn, dude.
In a town called Asshole.
Even the jocks were scared of those guys because they were the crazy rednecks. And you were like, I don't know, man. Those guys might have a gun or something. I'm not fucking with them.
They were like the Duke boys. They would just
They'd never give up.
assholes. Yeah.
Them dudes.
Fucking Duke boys took my fucking chain.
They'd be about to punch you and then it'd freeze and Uncle Jesse'd be like, you fucked.
You fuck. About this time, they beat the shit out this kid. But no, yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about this movie except, the way it looks. The actors in the film I thought did very well, given the script that they had. And I like some parts of the story. It's hard to not connect with a coming of age story because they're so universal that at some point you are going to see a part of yourself in there. Like I saw myself as the kids who weren't supposed to be at the party, who got their ass kicked. That's me. I'm the fucking geek here who's having a man crush on the most popular guy.
I saw
in
you
town.
as that too.
Oh, yeah.
That was me.
Those guys.
But
Didn't you have characters just like that in Dazed and Confused?
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing. As much as I admire admire this film for its acting, all of its technical expertise, even certain parts, the direction. It just doesn't have a very strong story there. So this is, I don't even say like it's a great rental, but this is a good rental right here.
I mean, I think the secret of these type of films, and I don't even have that big a problem with them having the analogs from American Graffiti and from Dazed and Confused, it doesn't bother me really, because there's a reason those are archetypes, because those are those people that are ultimately familiar no matter what time you're in. But those films really were a love letter to the periods of time they were in, and this was not. This was a navel gazing film. It was just like it got too into this little story where it forgot to pay attention to everything else that was going on that makes these sort of films enjoyable in the first place. Yeah. There was points that I was liking it, but there's points that you're like, man, that is such a cliche thing to have happen here. There's like a big shock that happens about 3/4 of the way through that you're like, wow, didn't see that coming the moment they introduced this character.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's not like it's a bad movie. It's just there's nothing special about it. It feels like it's a guy who might go on to make better stuff, but he ain't there yet. So I'm going to give this a high rental, which is like very complimentary as far as I'm concerned to a film that's not a great film, but hey, maybe years from now you'll go back and watch it and go, oh, this is that guy who made that great movie later.
Yeah.
He wasn't always that great.
Yeah. No. Once he makes the great film, then we'll be talking back to like, yes, I remember a film he made years ago, and you could see his talent budding at the time. I told people that.
In fact, you can actually see on the recording where I just said that right now.
Yeah. Wait, you mean after the hour of shit you talked about it first? Well, you have to ignore those things. That's just my job as a critic.
Too bad future Cyrus can't tell me something now.
Yeah. I think all of us want
some advice.
Yeah, I think all of us want to go back and beat the shit out of our younger selves. But
you know what? It's funny that you guys sound almost like you disagree, and yet your rating is the same.
Yeah.
But Korey, I agree with you pretty much 100%. There was so much about it that I did like the acting and the production values, and just how well so much of it was put together. It's just that lack of originality that I wish that's the kind of thing that like you want to get past it and ignore it, and you just can't, because it's right there. It's what it's all based on. It's like a beautiful house that's built on a shitty foundation on the side of a mountain. You're like, it's nice, but if I buy it, it's going to fall off in 10 years. There's nothing I can do. But at the same time, if somebody was thinking about watching it, I would say, yes, you should. There's enough here to enjoy. It makes it a high rental, an enthusiastic rental. I know exactly the same. I knew before we started. I'm like, to me, this is a high rental.
I think this is what's so great about us. Like, we all have a way of making our same opinions sound different.
Yeah.
Not only sound different, it sound like we're disagreeing with each other.
It's like all our parts that add up might be different parts, but they all add up to the same number ultimately.
And I
use MapQuest, I use Google Maps. We get to the same place in the end.
I did like the end a lot. I mean, not so much the very end, because you knew what was going to happen, but just what happens right before that, like that moment of retribution that you like. There's so many times that doesn't happen. You don't get that satisfaction, and it gave me that.
When you looking for that revenge.
Yes, I mean, after all the shit that goes down, you're like, you know what? So often in movies, and especially in real life, you just don't get that. And I was ready, like, okay, it's not going to give it to us, fine. And then I got it. I was like, yes,
come up and
yeah. No matter how stock characters are, if you got an asshole, you want to see them get their ass beat.
Yes,
Tyler Perry formula right there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I will say the movie's kind of manipulative too. That's why I kind of took some points off, like giving it a high rental, because there's a moment that happens in the movie that's supposed to be a tragedy, and I got the feeling like, okay, you need a heavy moment in here, just because.
Like I said, you knew it the moment they introduced that character. You were like, yep.
Yeah. I mean, they do a little fake out on how it happens, but you knew it was going to happen.
Yeah. And I don't know. Maybe all my childhood. See, everybody talks about John Hughes movies, and I don't trust directors who were too influenced by John Hughes, because Kevin Smith, was very introduced by John Hughes. I don't think he
was he really.
Yeah. That's another movie where at the end of the credits where it says thanks John Hughes. This guy does it at the end of his movie.
Right.
I mean, weren't we all influenced by John Hughes?
Exactly.
Like anybody.
Well, John Hughes was influenced by us.
Oh well, fair enough.
There you go.
But it's anybody who puts too much credit for just one director. You go,
yeah,
right.
I mean, even if you can sometimes enjoy those films, they're not always great films because of that. I always say, like, Way of the Gun. It's not a great film, but I'm a huge Sam Peckinpah fan, so I'm like, okay, I can enjoy this purely as a tribute to Sam Peckinpah.
Yeah, sure.
But it's still not a great film because that's all it is.
No. You know what? You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that film, but you just broke it down in a way that makes me go, damn.
No,
right.
You are completely right. I mean, this guy and Kevin Smith were influenced by John Hughes. I was influenced by Disney. So, you know, I was out there in a dress trying to hang out with animals, you know, getting my ass kicked every day. So.
Yeah, honestly, but we didn't used to be animated.
End of an era. Something like that.
I will say, Magnum, we have everything we could ever possibly want out of life just here.